Hi guys, my name is Alyssa, and today I'm just going to talk a little bit about numerology. I'm actually not going to completely chat about all of its intricacies and stuff like that. Right now I'm just actually going to explain the numbers, and at a later date you will get more information about numerology in general. I will tell you right now that it is considered a pseudoscience, just like astrology is. Doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that science in America and maybe some other first world countries don't accept it, when a lot of other countries kind of talk about it like it's fact. I got into numerology because I was looking for answers in a bunch of different things, and was trying to figure out sort of my life right now. And numerology, more so than astrology, is very simple and clear cut. And I found out a couple things about my life, and I was just like, oh, that's really interesting. And you might find going into numerology that it actually coincides really well with astrology, and the whole thing works really well. Like maybe they were all meant to be here for us to manage and read. Another thing that I found out is that most people accept numerology over astrology. And it might be because of the Illuminati, like the Freemason stuff, like Friday the 13th, all of that kind of information that people just love to talk about that makes them be like, oh yeah, numerology is so cool. Whatever it is, a lot of people are way more accepting of it. So if you start talking about numerology and as opposed to astrology in your life with your friends, they might actually be like, oh, that's really interesting. And it's really easy to calculate. You calculate it by the exact day that you were born using all of the numbers. So my birthday is October 2nd, 1985. I would then count up every number individually in my birthday. So it'd be 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 5. This all eventually will reach a certain number. That number then added up together makes an 8. So then my number becomes an 8. But just so we can get the show on the road, number 1, it represents independence in a person. Leadership qualities. I'd say that most ones are very good delegators. It's also the father figure, as it has a lot of masculine energy. Doesn't mean that a woman can't be a 1. It means that a woman who's a 1 is kind of more of a power character than a nurturer. Number 2 then represents the mother, the nurturer, the one who's in with the relationships, that weighs out the balance, kind of like Libra. The caring type, the passionate ones. Then we have 3. 3 you can say now represents the child. So the child then is this creative, independent spirit. So imagine that in a 3. Somebody with a lot of imagination. Somebody who's willing to try new things and might actually be good at a lot of really different things. 4 is a lot of stability and structure and law and hard work. Something that I've noticed about 4s is that they seem to build castles in the sky, as they are builders of things, that they expect things to make sense. And 4s want things to make sense. And so even if in their imagination they build these things up and they believe that they can achieve them, and ultimately they will. 5s represent beauty and harmony, but mostly change and travel and innovation and differences. Kind of a rebellious attitude. Somebody who's willing to just kind of grow and be different and not flow with the social norms. 6 is the family unit. Someone who's born in 6 is going to be really into family, children, relationships, but duty, being able to take care of the family, of their surroundings, a lot of 6s I've known have been good with money just because that is their responsibility. Because it is the family unit, it's also marriage. More so than 2 just being the relationship and the nurturer, it's the marriage, the actual act of marriage. So it also is the act of divorce. 7 then is the spiritual number. You think on the 7th day, God rested. That's kind of how I remember it, but it's not like everybody who is in it is all of a sudden has this God complex. A lot of it is that they don't believe in trivial things. A lot of their greatest things are life and death and freedom and love and things like that, things that make sense. They can oftentimes be loners, really deep, mystical, have great intuition, maybe even they're perfectionists. 8, the power, represents power and money, the vision and achievement. It also represents someone who is not good at delegating. They kind of take on too much on their own. They don't expect that anybody can do anything better than they can. And that's because they feel like their vision is something that they are unable to get out of their mouth and that they just need to fly with. A lot of people put 8s with this millionaire mentality, that 8s become millionaires. Not necessarily always true, but just someone who is willing to push a little bit harder than the rest of them and be a little bit more ruthless. Maybe even a little bit more mean. The 9s. 9 represents completion. If 1 is the beginning, 9 is the end. And so you can remember that in numerology, not just about people and their numbers, but in life itself. 1 is the beginning, 9 is the end. Everything else is in the middle. Any numbers over 9 can be reduced to 1 through 9. So remember that. 9 is going to be completion, compassion, renewal, energy, reward, spirituality as well. These people are wise. I work with so many 9s. And a lot of times it's just people who don't need the trivial things. They're very secure in themselves, and maybe they're a little bit too patient. There are master numbers, which is 11, 22, and 33. 11 becomes 2, 22 becomes 4, 33 becomes 6. They take on those same qualities that I mentioned, but they have a little bit more power behind them. I can go into those later. I can also do a video on each number separately if that's something that interests you. In my next video, I'll talk about compatibility and other things with the numbers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a lovely day. Bye.